The Destiny franchise is one that players have been enjoying all the way since the release of Destiny 1 back in 2014, but over the past year or so, it's no secret that the game has been on a pretty steep decline in terms of quality, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. You guys have already seen both the title and the thumbnail of this video, and I'm going to be completely honest, this is coming from not only the perspective of a frustrated content creator, but also a very frustrated Destiny 2 player. Because let's be real, the game is just nowhere near as enjoyable as it was back in Forsaken, Beyond Light, or honestly, even the 30th anniversary update. Pretty much every game mode, whether that be Strikes, Crucible, Gambit, they've all suffered in some sort of way. And if Bungie continues to be negligent, like I said, Destiny is not looking very good for the future. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, there is quite a bit to unpack in this video, so I want to separate it into 3 different categories. One being PvE, another being PvE, and the last one being the loots. I could also make another category based on, Bungie's transparency, because that has been absolutely awful over time, but I think it'll just kind of tie into the other things. With that being said though, let's just get this started by breaking down what most people would call the biggest pain point in Destiny 2 right now, the Crucible. I know there are going to be a lot of people in the comments that say Destiny is a PvE game, but if you paid any attention, you would know that every single time Destiny has been thriving, emphasis on that word, it was because there was a healthy balance of both PvE and PvP. Not just PvP, not just PvE, but both. Without either, Destiny simply would not be Destiny, which is also exactly why getting only one new Crucible map in the last year, or I guess 2 years, whatever you want to call it, is unacceptable. Also, getting little to no PvP loot is unacceptable. And the neglect to the sandbox above all is the most unacceptable thing. Real quick, I want to take you guys back to the 30th anniversary DLC when we had arguably the most balanced sandbox in Destiny history. Back then, you could use literally anything, and I believe the only, maybe outlier was main ingredients, which also was freshly nerfed, so people weren't using it as much. But other than that, you could go in there with the worst archetype scout rifle in the game, like a 180 RPM, and you could compete. You were not like, nowadays, skill does not matter, because if I'm running around with, let's say, the Monte Carlo, a weapon that is absolutely terrible, and I'm running into a Immortal, I'm gonna lose 10 times out of 10. Not because I'm worse at the game, but Immortal is just a much better weapon than Monte Carlo. I mean, it kills faster, has more range. There's nothing you can do with a Monte Carlo in that situation. And that's just the reality of how this game is now. If you aren't running the best weapons in the game, you're gonna get fried by Regional Dentist 52 because, like I said, he just chose to use better stuff when you were trying to have fun. Your fault for having fun. There really is almost no skill gap left in this game anymore, which is deterring a lot of PvP players. And on top of that, skill-based matchmaking has not helped either in the slightest. Because let's say you're just playing Destiny 2 and you want to play with your friends. God forbid you do that, because let's say those friends are of lower skill, you have to bring them into your lobbies where they can't compete at all and they are going to get absolutely rolled just because you wanted to play with your friends. Once again, your fault for trying to have fun. I honestly still can't comprehend how skill-based matchmaking has lasted this long in Destiny 2, because every game is basically a $2 million Mr. Beast tournament. Like, seriously, I have not played Control in months. I would rather take my chances in connection-based Rumble with, Antaeus users, Ace farmers, Immortal abusers. I would rather play against that all day than have to go against, people in skill-based matchmaking, not moving, glued to their spawns with, messengers, 340 pulses, killing you in half a second from across the map. Like, I would rather play Rumble. And what's crazy about everything I just said is PvP is probably the easiest mode to fix that there is, because all Bungie really has to do is just show a little bit of initiative and put in anything more than the bare minimum effort, and I think players would be happy at this point. In terms of maps, we're not even expecting new ones anymore, but at least give us some variety. Bring back maps from D1, whatever it is. Now, it would be cool if y'all gave us new maps, but I know that's not in the cards for y'all, Bungie. So, you know, if we could just get some of those old maps back to have a little bit more variety rather than playing Exodus Blue 15 times in a row in one day, I mean, that would be pretty cool. And when it comes to the sandbox, all Bungie really has to do for that is just pay attention to their game. Like, monitor people's streams, go watch, you know, a few trial streamers, maybe get a couple people doing that, and then you'll quickly see what's the meta, because things like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, Ice Titan with the new targeted redaction hand cannon, you get free 2-taps for not even getting a single kill. It is ridiculous. And it's things like that that further diminish the skill gap in this game, because like I said, most people, you know, if you're using a 120, to get, you know, the ability to 2-tap, you have to have something like Kill Clip, and that requires you to get a kill, not throw down an ice wall, break a few crystals, and then, you know, 2-tap anybody you want. Fixing PvP is really as simple as monitoring the sandbox and making adjustments and giving us new maps here and there. That's literally all you have to do, and people would not be anywhere near as upset with the game as they are right now, because like I said before, bare minimum effort is what we are upset with. We're not getting anything. No new content, no new loot, none of that stuff. We're getting nothing. So anything more than the bare minimum is a significant improvement. Now, logically thinking, if you were a rational human being, you would think that, you know, with PvP being as bad as it is right now, that PvE would be significantly better, but unfortunately, it's kind of the same case over there as well. Do you guys remember when Bungie said that they were bringing challenge back to Destiny? Yeah, that really hasn't turned out too well, because the reality is, with the release of 3.0 subclasses and more exotic weapons, armor pieces, aspects, and fragments, our characters are way stronger than they ever were before. And with that being said, you know, you would think that the content would also get harder, you know, with our characters getting stronger. But that is not what happened at all, because if you take the newest raid, for example, you know, the not Vow of Disciple, but Root of Nightmares, if you take that raid, for example, and you look at the percentage of contest mode clears and total contest mode clears, even if you take away the entire second day of contest mode to compare it to other raids that were only one day, it wins by a landslide. It has the most clears by an astronomical margin. Now, I want to make it clear that I'm not trying to diminish anybody's accomplishment that, you know, was able to get a day 1 or even day 2 clear of Ron, because it still is impressive, you know what I mean? But like I said, that is ridiculous for a contest mode raid. People clearing it that many times. I mean, dudes were even 3-manning it on contest mode. That is not challenging enough for a raid. And it's the same people that think that raid was good that will sit here and dog on Crota's End saying that it was way too easy. Well, Root of Nightmares, it's the same case scenario, just in a modern Destiny game 9 years later. A lot of people have speculated that it was supposed to be a dungeon and then it was rushed into a raid last minute, and I don't really know how true that is, but I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised. To say that the only problem with PvE is the difficulty and the raids right now would definitely be an understatement though, because the Strike playlist, boys, like, we have to talk about how horrible of a playlist that is. It's stale, it's boring, and anytime you see a new Vanguard weapon, even if you really like the gun, like for example, there is a really good auto rifle in the loot pool right now, but most of you guys probably didn't even know that, because when there's a good weapon in there, nobody really cares to grind it because strikes are just that goddamn boring. And I feel like there are a couple of reasons for that. One being the addition of Battlegrounds, because I'm gonna be honest, boys, every time I load up a Battleground, I'm getting my pillow, I'm getting my blankets, and I am sleeping. That mode is so boring, and I don't understand why it's in there. Actually, you know what? I do understand why it's in there, because Bungie does not want to make new strikes, and they saw an opportunity, was like, hey, you know what? You know how we vaulted a bunch of strikes with Beyond Light? Let's do this. Let's bring in these Battlegrounds and have those act as strikes so we don't have to put in any more effort. Once again, you're seeing the bare minimum. If Bungie really cared about that playlist, what they would do at the very least is bring back some of those old strikes that weren't in the game for that long. Because there were strikes, you know, in Destiny 2 that were in the game for like under 2 years. Whereas the average strike age in the game now is probably, I don't know exactly what it is, but I guarantee it's 5+ years. Because if you look at things like Fallen Saber, that's a Destiny 1 strike. Omnigul, that's a Destiny 1 strike. Devil's Lair, that's a Destiny. There is so many Destiny 1 strikes in this game, meaning like it's probably 5+ years. So giving some of those Destiny 2 strikes another chance to shine might be a good play, especially, you know, like I said, considering that you guys won't give us any new ones. Now moving on to the final section of this video, we have the loot problem in Destiny, and this does, like, I could have included it in both PvE and PvP, but I feel like it's better to talk about it separately because it just kind of ties into both. What we have seen ever since Lightfall is some of the most disgusting cash grabs I have ever seen in my life. For one, if you guys look at the season pass, it's 1,200 silver now, meaning you have to spend $15, right, instead of 10 like you used to, which is very, very scummy, especially considering all of these seasonal weapons we have gotten since Lightfall were reskins. They were not even new. Even the raid weapons weren't new. They were just weapon models we already had. Bungie slapped some barnacles on the side of them and were like, yo, here's these new weapons. Enjoy. Like, how long are we just gonna take this, man? I'm not even saying we need new weapon models every single season. Every new weapon has to be a new model. I'm not saying that. But we need at least some of them. Because honestly, I like reskins from time to time. There are a lot of weapon models in this game where I'm like, yo, a reskin of that would be cool. But there are other times when I'm like, why is this gun being reskinned for the 17th time? And I think by far the worst of it all was definitely the Lightfall campaign weapons because, I mean, listen guys, I'm a fan of the moon weapons. I love them. But you cannot reskin an entire set of weapons for a new DLC's campaign. The weapons should feel new, like we've never seen them before in the past. Not like, oh, here's Loud Lullaby with a paint job. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel unique and it's not special. And unfortunately, there's even more to the problem than just reskins because FOMO has been a massive thing in Destiny over the past year or two. Because if you look at something like Igneous Hammer, for example, arguably the best legendary hand cannon, maybe even the best hand cannon in the entire game, it has been out of the loot pool since February of 2022. That is over 400 days since we have seen the best hand cannon in the game. I don't know how you guys feel personally, but having something that is that good be unobtainable for that long is just, it's not something that really sits well with me, especially considering I was somebody who came back to this game in Beyond Light after not playing for a long time, and something that ran the game when I came back was Fellwinter's Lie, and you couldn't get that thing. You could not get it until Season of the Chosen, which was admittedly only one season later when they brought it back, but there wasn't some huge-ass window of time where you just couldn't compete. Shotgun battles were definitely really rough without that thing, though. Now, that is pretty much all I have to say about the loot that actually matters, because, well, there is one more issue, but it's not as big of a thing. It just would be really nice to see, and that's, you know, getting ornaments back into the game. Because when was the last time you guys saw a legendary weapon get an ornament outside of being the ritual weapon? I think it was Fellwinter's Lie. And for those of you who don't know, Fellwinter's came out over 2 years ago. So it's been a long time. Like, we don't see them anymore. We really don't. We do not see legendary ornaments, and I think that's a shame. Because if you do something like Go Flawless, how cool would it be if you were able to open that chest and have a chance to get something like a messenger ornament, an igneous ornament, something like that? How cool would that be? Because regardless of how insufferable Trials is in its current state, you would sure as hell see me playing and trying to get that igneous ornament, because it is something to grind for and something I can be like, yo, if I play enough, I have a chance to get this, and this is cool as shit, rather than just grinding for adept guns that I don't need because I already have a god roll of literally every adept weapon I actually care about. Anyways though, that is pretty much going to be all I have for today's video. It's no secret that Bungie, they need to get their shit together, and it needs to happen kind of quick because it's not looking too good. As always though, if you guys did enjoy this video, I would greatly appreciate it if you left a like and a comment letting me know what you thought. And if you're new around here, it never hurts to hit that subscribe button. Anyways, it's been Gravely. Peace.